Hello. I found this interesting book in the library. Thought I'd read a little bit from it. It is, in fact, the Historical, Industrial, and Civic Survey of Okmulgee and Okmulgee County, prepared for American Guide, WPA, Writers Project by Baird Martin, financed by the Okmulgee Chamber of Commerce, supervised by Okmulgee Daily Times from May 1936. So this is starting at page 30. Some interesting stuff here. And, of course, I will be using this for later projects. So, powers of the first city administration were limited. Directly, they were allowed to arrange for city police protection. The first city hall was a small frame building at the southwest corner of 7th Street and Grand Avenue. Later, city officials were granted additional powers, such as incurring bonded indebtedness. Okmulgee's progress continued to such an extent that in 1907 it became a city of the first class under the laws of the new state of Oklahoma. In 1912, the aldermanic system was changed to a commission form. McLagan, founder of the city's first bank, was chosen head of Okmulgee's first Chamber of Commerce, organized in 1901. With the Frisco right-of-way, located a half-mile east of the council house, railroad, a situation soon arose whereby Okmulgee, for a period, was divided into two camps. A Kansas City townsite firm purchased, through its president, Charles E. Douglas, a tract east of the rails. There, they immediately built a store. The absence of a wagon bridge over Okmulgee Creek in no way tempered the situation. A footbridge spanned the creek for pedestrians, but vehicles braved a plunge into and through the waters near 6th Street. No difficulty was encountered except during and after heavy rains. Traffic then was at a standstill. Douglas constructed the first vehicle bridge across Okmulgee Creek at 8th Street. Soon after, another crossed at 6th Street. Rivalry between the two sites disappeared with construction of buildings which merged them. S. L. Johnson, father of General Hugh Johnson of NRA fame, 30-odd years later, succeeded Dr. W.C. Michener as mayor after spring voting in 1902. Johnson, running as a Democrat, defeated Douglas 138 to 105 votes. Simultaneously, the town approved 156 to 3, a $20,000 bond issue for schools. A general protest, oddly enough, followed the election. Town leaders insisted $15,000 was sufficient for schools and that bonds should be voted for municipal waterworks. Another election followed. School bonds valued at $15,000 were voted, but a similar amount for a water supply was defeated. Opponents of the issue explained $15,000 was far too little for a substantial system. On October 1903, a third election was held. Citizens voted $38,000 for water plants and $13,000 for sewage bonds. In spite of progress, the Creeks had not departed from the political picture. Those designated as loyal received in 1904 approximately $500,000 from the government for property damage claims arising during the Civil War. Union tribesmen were in the minority, and their property frequently was damaged by Confederate sympathizers. Soon after the conflict, loyal Creeks filed claims for $5,090,000. The government pared this down to $600,000, of which attorneys received $90,000. Payments made in 5 Creek Nation cities were made in October. The majority received their money at Okmulgee and Muskogee. Only 170 of the original 1,518 claimants were alive the year of payment. The greater portion of the sum was distributed to heirs of the deceased. For more than a week in June 1904, the Deep Fork River bottoms were inundated. At places, the river swelled to 5 miles in width. A ferry west of Okmulgee was swept away. Farmers and their families were marooned. Visitors from Sharp, 6 miles southwest of Okmulgee, rode to within a mile and a half of this town. The humble forerunner of a giant industry, which has proved to be interlocked with Okmulgee's prosperity, appeared near the town May 19th, 1904. It was the well of the Citizens Oil and Gas Company. Oil was struck at 1,270 feet. Original estimates set the flow at 25 barrels daily. Officers of the Citizen Oil and Gas Company were James Parkinson, President W.E. Wood, Vice President O.E. Philly, Secretary, and W.A. Morton, Treasurer. Interest soared and outsiders were attracted by the possibilities. Late in 1904, the city waterworks and sewage systems, built with bonds voted a year earlier, were accepted. Water was obtained from 4 wells which flowed into a reservoir. They were located on the 500 block on North Alabama Avenue. The reservoir's capacity was 490,000 gallons, and the wells flowed 150,000 gallons a day. So, skipping forward just a little bit, Okmulgee's first automobile made a simultaneous appearance June 16, 1906. There were 2, both 5-seaters. Owners were T.F. Randolph and L.S. Skelton. Newspaper reports recite that each created quite a sensation and frequently balked. Barometer of the city's growth was a report issued by the Chamber of Commerce that year. Okmulgee, it recited, has 75 stores, 4 banks, 15 physicians, 27 attorneys, 3 cotton gins, 5 livery barns, 2 wagon yards, 2 pop factories, and 3 school buildings. George W. Mabry, Democrat, was elected mayor April 3, 1907, over his Republican opponent, 276 to 263. Oil excitement reached fever heat April 18, 1907. A well on the Mutual Oil Company lease, drilled by the Tulsa Gas and Fuel Company, was brought in as a gusher with an estimated 500-barrel flow. Extensive leasing followed. Corporations were formed by Okmulgeans and countless Eastern drillers. The following June, a new Okmulgee field record was reached when a $1,000 barrel well blew in on the major Wiley allotment. 1907 stands as a year of years in Oklahoma. It was that November when long-awaited statehood was attained. So before that, not a state. So skipping forward just a little bit. But, first county officers, their politics and offices for the new state, right, were Terry A. Parkinson, Democrat; State Senator George W. Bell, Democrat; State Representative M.M. Alexander, Democrat; County Judge Joe Eaton, Democrat; County Attorney U.T. Whitmer, Republican; Clerk of District Court F.H. Hollingsworth, Republican; County Clerk William Edgar Robinson, Democrat; Sheriff Elmer Schock, Republican; County Treasurer Ernest Bozarth, Democrat; Register of Deeds E.B. Shotwell, Democrat; Superintendent of Schools T.E. Richardson, Democrat; District 1 County Commissioner A.K. Henderson, Republican; District 2 County Commissioner Hiram Martin, Democrat; District 3 County Commissioner. So, there was a statehood celebration, yada yada. In 1918, an area of 18 square miles, including the towns of Hoffman and Grayson, was added from McIntosh County. Its area now is 702 square miles for Okmulgee County. The city of Okmulgee's growth required constant civic improvements, as does every city. But there was a refinery, and one of the bloodiest episodes in the county's later history occurred November 15th, 1908. Newt Decker, Negro, became involved in a fight with another member of his race. Officers were called. Chief of Police Henry Claber, responding, ordered Decker to accompany him to the station. Decker suddenly drew a gun and shot the officer dead. He then killed 2 Negroes, one of whom he had been fighting. The Negro barricaded himself in his home and fought a hastily organized party of officers. In the subsequent battle, Sheriff Edgar W. Robinson was slain and 5 other deputies wounded. Decker's body, when recovered, was riddled with bullets. Population figures in 1909 showed Okmulgee a city of 6,000. During the same year, the city began obtaining water from the Deep Fork River. Moving forward just a bit. In 1920, with the advent of buses, streetcars were abandoned and tracks taken up. The city was one of the first to depend on motor vehicles for public transportation. Oil continued a basic industry here. In 1910, Okmulgee County production was reported at 18,000 barrels a day. On November 23, 1911, the commission form of municipal government was approved by Okmulgee vote of 301 to 119. A new charter was approved April 2nd, to 1912. The new system went into effect June 10, 1912, and has never been abandoned. In place of a mayor and alderman, as fundamental in the original system, 3 commissioners govern the city. Skipping ahead just a bit, right? Old times were reenacted in 1914 when Creek tribal representatives met for the first time in 5 years to pass on minor land problems. The House of Warriors congregated in the council house. The kings were forced to look elsewhere for a meeting point, finally gathering in the city hall. In the fall of 1914, the European War caused a business depression. Drilling in the mid-continent field was near a standstill. Only 12 wells were pumping in September. For a year, business was poor. The price of oil in August 1915 fell to a 40-cent low. An immediate rise, however, resulted in a $1.20 price per barrel by the end of the year. Destruction by fire of the Fullerton Stewart lumber yard in the 100 block on East 4th Street, October 15, 1914, resulted in a $50,000 loss. At that time, the blaze was the most destructive ever experienced in the city. There were no fatalities. Okmulgee High School was completed early in 1915 at a $100,000 cost. Since then, additions have been made. The need of a county courthouse became more pressing as quarters in the council house became more crowded. Early in 1916, a vote was taken upon the issuance of $125,000 in bonds for a new courthouse. By a vote of 1,800 to 400, the bond issue was approved. Bonds were sold to Katie Fixico, Rich Creek Incompetent, her guardian, E.W. Kimbley, bidding them in for $133,379. County commissioners decided upon a location at Seminole Avenue and 7th Street. With the absorbing of 6 additions, the Okmulgee city limits were largely expanded in 1916. Yes, you should read into all of that. These additions, Northeast, Melrose City Park, Fairfax, Belmont Park, M&H, and Lake Park, also yielded 2,000 residents to Okmulgee, sending the population figure to approximately 13,000 that year. Woodrow Wilson carried the county by a 546 majority over Charles Evan Hughes in the fall presidential election. Locally, Democrats won almost every major office. The year 1917 was ushered in with bloodshed, 20 miles northwest of Okmulgee. January 18th, when 3 bandits sought for numerous holdups and bank robberies were shot down while resisting officers. The trio, Oscar Poe and Will and Harry Hart, wanted in several communities, were reported to Sheriff Claude F. Roach and Chief of Police Mel Bowman of Okmulgee to be barricaded in a camp northwest of town. Roach and Bowman organized a posse among their deputies and surrounded the rendezvous. Their quarry, absent, returned soon afterward. Summoned to surrender, they chose to fight. All were killed, while officers suffered no casualties. While Okmulgee experienced the same excitement as did other communities all over America when war was declared against Germany in April, the first contact with the conflict arose June 6 when Okmulgeans between ages of 21 and 31 registered for the draft. At first call, 4,671 Okmulgee County men registered. Almost immediately, the drives followed. The county raised its quota in every instance. In Liberty Loan drives, it was aided materially by purchase of hundreds of thousands of dollars by rich Indians, notably Jackson Barnett of Henrietta, Incompetent Creek, whose guardian transacted the deal. A.D. Kennedy, R.R. Short, Senator S.L. Johnson, father of General Hugh Johnson of recent NRA fame, Fowler Graham, and J.J. Maroney were appointed as a county council for national defense by Governor R.L. Williams. The purpose of the committee was to perfect all local war organizations. Ernest Parks, Emmett Kyle, Halleck F. Pfeiffer, and Edwin Moore Bruton were the first 4 Okmulgeans ordered to leave for army camps. So they trained for Camp Travis. Strict censorship soon was established and no public announcement of departures was made. Skipping forward just a bit. Right. There was an armistice for the war, 1918, of course. And then, an influenza epidemic which caused some loss of lives. Well, During October, November, and December after the armistice, daily oil production in Okmulgee County was 45,000 barrels a day. But an influenza pandemic, which caused some loss of lives, struck in February 1920. An emergency board was appointed in Okmulgee to combat the spread. Estimate of cases ranged from 800 to 2,000, although only 550 were reported to the board. During the